Alright, this week we got AC Legends cars on Fuji. So, starting in the pits, as usual, we're just gonna kind of go out. Not that hard. The only thing you really have to worry about is staying to the right and braking at the correct spot. Because if you don't, you're gonna send it straight offline. And the correct spot is actually right here. So, right halfway between the straight spot. If you don't, like I said, you're gonna go way too fast. Downshift into first and then just drag brake and stay tight. Make sure you don't mess up someone else's lap, and then it's pretty much easy sailing from there. Make sure you get your tires in the right spot, and then after that it's just hot lapping. Away you go. So I'm gonna cut to the start finish line, and then we'll go to the track guide from there. So at the start finish line on Fuji, I'm going to be doing the BMW. That's my preferred car out of this pack in the AC Legends. I'm going to try and give a gauging point for some of the other cars because this car does brake a little bit better than some of the other ones, but for the most part the lines are going to be the same, just the braking points might have to be bumped back for some of the other cars, and you might be able to carry a little bit more speed or a little less speed in some of the sections, but for the most part it's going to be pretty similar. So staying on the left when you cross the start finish line, we're going to be cruising up to the brake point, so starting out with all the differences of the cars. Some cars you're going to have to brake at the end of the yellow Dunlop sign. Some cars you're going to have to do the brake point at the orange marker on our left. And then for the BMW specifically, I can brake right at the road on our left ending, or right around the 200, a little bit back from the 200. It's hard on the brakes, as hard as you can basically without locking up. Even if you lock up, you can kind of get away with it. So we brake down in the second or first. I notice with a lot of these turns you can go down in the first and get away with it, but you will wheel spin a little bit more. But anyway, the line then. So we're going to want to cut as hard as we can really onto this green rumble strip on the apex, and then power out as much as we can. Second is usually safer because you won't wheel spin, but first might get you a little bit more acceleration, and depending on your line you might have to go down on the first. If you cut it a little bit closer, you're going wheel to wheel. But anyway, running out. Second or third, depending on your gearing, because again, some of these cars have only 4 gears, some have 5, I don't think any of them have 6. But we're going to be braking in the next spot at the 100 marker on our right. Going to downshift into, for the BMW, third is usually where I usually end up, maybe second depending on how bad the line is. And we're going to cut this as hard as we can onto this green for the apex. That way we can slow down. For the most part we can carry a lot of speed, but we're going to run out of the rumble strip, but not onto the upper part of it. We have to stay on the flat part, because if we run on the upper part we risk looping the car for the most part and invalidating a lap. We can carry out onto the smoother part of the rumble strip, this green part on our right, but don't jump up onto the upper part of the curb. And then carry as much speed as we can. You might have to downshift into second and use your brakes in this section to keep the car from going wide and to get the car to rotate in, because it'll want to understeer out, like at least on my turn, it'll want to understeer out in that sweeping section. You just want to keep it planted and going in the right direction for that sweeping turn. Then we get into this section. You're going to probably end up either on the outside or on the inside, depending on your line. If you're on the outside, start braking right around 75. If you're on the inside, you can usually get away with going up towards the 50. I'd say like the 60 marker if it existed. Okay, if we want to go, there we go. So we're going to start hard braking right around the 50 to 60 marker, down into second or again first, cutting this as much as we can. You can get away with hitting that the yellow thing on our left, but it could unsettle some of the lower cars in this pack. Just be aware. And then again, carrying as much speed as we can, and again, be careful of the upper part of the rumble strip. If you hit that upper part, especially that grassy part, you're very likely to spin and or invalidate a lap. So then we're going to be ending up out here. Use this whole rumble strip so that you're on the right line. When we get out here, you might have to either lift, but preferably you stay flat. If you lift because you're on a bad line or something, do it at your own risk, but you're going to be on a very slow lap at that point. Flat out is the best line. And then in this braking zone, this is another difference in cars. Some cars you have to actually brake right around here, which is right before the 150 marker. I think off the top of my head, the Jaguar has to brake really early. For the BMW and I believe the Porsche, the like race car Porsche, I haven't been able to get away with right below the Dunlop sign. It's really just the difference in the braking performance of the cars, but that's just what I've been getting at. You really want to get down into second or third, depending on your gearing. Start turning in right around that 50 marker. And what we're really focusing on is cutting this turn as much as possible to make it as shallow of a turn as we can. Some cars, you're going to be able to take this turn and cut this curb on our right. But other cars are too stiff or too low, and you're going to hit it, and it's going to disrupt the car too much, and you're not going to be able to do it. And there's also a dip right there, which you have to be worried about. Because if you go too fast through that turn, you're going to hit this grass over here, and you're going to get washed out, and it's not going to work. So experiment with how fast you can take that turn, but you can gain a good couple tenths. If you're good, then up into this turn, brake marker for most cars is going to be that white line on our left. Some cars you're going to be able to deepen into this green area on our left. It's up to you how far you can go deep. First or second gear, again, depends on how willing you are to risk it. Cut right at that apex marker. You can use the curb, honestly, it's not that much of a time killer if you get a little disrupted. Again, hit this apex on our left. My next brake marker is just past that green stuff on our left. I will go back and check it. So as we're going through, when I pass it on my left is when I will start lifting and start braking for the next zone, because this next one's actually quite tricky because it tightens, these next two turns tighten on exit. So we really need to set ourselves up to be wide. In second gear, again, this is one of those times where you can go into first. But we really need to tighten this out so that we're hitting this really late so that when we go wide, we're pretty much straight. If we hit it and we're like still going out, we're going to end up out on this concrete over on the right, and that's going to invalidate laps. It's going to make us slower, and it's never going to work. And again, raised curb really kills your times and can make you spin. For this last one, my brake marker is really just this general area. It depends on what my line is or how fast I'm going, but when the wall on our right kind of disappears, which is right in this area, that's when I'm start braking. I know to start thinking about braking when this road on my right kind of disappears and the white line on my right starts appearing in my peripheral vision. But that's this brake zone's really difficult because there's so many lines out on this one that you just have to kind of get a feel for it. And again, this is the same kind of sharpened exit that you just have to really focus on getting it, because this one is a really long straight afterward. So if you screw up your exit on this turn, it's really just escalated exponentially because you're just going to lose all of the time on the straight. So that's really the track, because we're doing Fuji short. So after this, I'm going to show a 149, high 149 in the BMW, showing all the braking points kind of linked together. I believe there's a 148, maybe a 147 in it. I'll include my tune on the Discord. And that's it. Fuji short. I think this is going to be really good with these cars. I think it's going to be really good wheel-to-wheel racing, especially because these cars are inherently pretty decent at being able to bump together and not be super disrupted. So I hope to see you on Sunday, and I hope to see you in the 50s-ish, because I think that's going to be the fun spot. 50, 51, 52 is probably going to be the fun spot, because they can lap pretty well together and they're not super disrupted by like bad tire temps or something like that. So hope to see you out there. Hope to see you in the fast times too. See ya.